The sun was shining brightly, and the small town street was quiet. Malik walked slowly from school, his old backpack bouncing lightly on his shoulders. He was tired, but he was also used to being tired. Every day felt the same. He went to school, walked home, helped his grandmother with small chores, and then spent the rest of his time fixing things. Malik had always liked fixing things. He was not the kind of boy who played video games or spent money in shops. He did not have those things anyway. Instead, he collected broken objects. If he saw a broken toy near the trash, he picked it up. If an old radio was left outside, he took it home. If someone threw away a rusty bike, Malik dragged it back to his small shed. With a few tools, some patience, and a lot of focus, he made them work again. Sometimes he sold them to neighbors for a little money. Other times he gave them to kids who had nothing to play with. It made him happy to see something broken become useful again. As Malik turned a corner that afternoon, he saw something unusual. A man was kneeling beside a bicycle. But this was not an ordinary bicycle. It was sleek and shiny, with a smooth black frame and golden rims that sparkled in the sunlight. It looked like it belonged in a store window, not on the side of a quiet street. The man wore an expensive suit. His shoes were polished, his watch looked heavy, and his tie was neat. Yet his face was filled with frustration. He was staring at the bicycle, muttering to himself. "How can this happen? I just bought it," the man said under his breath. Malik stopped walking. He had never seen a bike that expensive before. He looked carefully and noticed the problem right away. The front wheel was bent, and the chain had come loose. Malik's fingers itched to fix it. He could already picture how he would tighten the bolts, straighten the wheel, and place the chain back in its place. But he hesitated. The man looked important, and Malik was just a boy in dusty shoes and simple clothes. Would the man even listen to him? Still, Malik took a breath and spoke. "Sir, do you need help with your bike?" The man turned his head quickly. His eyes studied Malik for a moment, as if deciding what to say. For a short time, he seemed unsure. Malik could almost hear the doubt in his silence. Then the man sighed. "Yes, it's broken. I don't know much about fixing bikes." Malik stepped closer, his confidence growing. "I can try. I fix bikes all the time." The man raised his eyebrows. "You fix this? This bike is not like other bikes." Malik nodded politely. "I know, but a chain is a chain. A wheel is a wheel. If you let me try, maybe it will work again." The man moved aside, still looking curious. Malik knelt by the bicycle and placed his hands on the chain. His movements were calm and steady. He lifted the chain, placed it back on the gear, and rotated the pedals slowly. The chain clicked, fitting into its track. Then he adjusted the wheel, tightening the bolts one by one. His hands moved as if they had done this 100 times before, which they had. Finally, Malik stood up and gave the wheel a strong spin. It turned smoothly, without a sound. The bike looked perfect again. The man's eyes widened. "You did that so fast. Are you sure it will work?" Malik smiled faintly. "It will ride fine now. Try it." The man placed his hands on the handlebars and pushed the bike forward. The pedals turned easily. The wheel moved straight. It was as if the bike had never been broken. The man climbed on and rode a short circle on the street. The wind lifted his tie as the bike rolled smoothly. When he stopped in front of Malik again, his face had changed. The frustration was gone, replaced with surprise and a slow smile. "You are impressive, young man. What is your name?" "Malik," he answered. The man repeated it softly, as if remembering it. "Malik. You fixed in 5 minutes what would have cost me hours at a shop. You're very skilled." Malik lowered his eyes, a little shy. I just like fixing things. That's all. The man studied him carefully. His gaze was not unkind, but thoughtful, as if he was seeing Malik differently now. After a long pause, he said something Malik did not expect. Malik, you may have just changed more than a bike today. You may have changed your own life. Malik blinked in confusion. He had only fixed a chain and tightened some bolts. He could not imagine how that could change his life. But the man's voice carried weight, like he truly believed it. Malik felt something shift in his chest, a small spark of curiosity and hope. The man extended his hand. Malik shook it slowly, not knowing that this small moment on a quiet street was the beginning of a journey he never imagined. Malik walked home that evening with many thoughts in his mind. The man with the expensive bike had left in a hurry, but not before handing Malik a small card. The card was firm and shiny, with gold letters pressed into it. Malik had never held something so fine before. On it was written a name and an address. The name was Mr. Thomas. Visit me tomorrow, Mr. Thomas had said. I want to speak with you again. Don't be late. The words echoed in Malik's head as he reached his small house. His grandmother was in the kitchen, preparing a simple meal of rice and vegetables. She noticed his distant look and asked, "What's on your mind, Malik?" He handed her the card. She read it slowly, her eyes narrowing. This is not an ordinary man, Malik. People with cards like this are usually very rich. Why would he ask you to visit him? Malik shrugged. I don't know. I only fixed his bike. His grandmother smiled gently. Sometimes small actions open big doors. You should go. But remember, stay humble and respectful. Rich people can be strange. That night, Malik could hardly sleep. His mind kept returning to the moment when Mr. Thomas had said, "You may have changed your life." What could he have meant? The next morning, Malik dressed in his cleanest shirt and pants. They were still simple clothes, but he brushed them carefully. He wanted to look presentable. He placed the card in his pocket and walked to the address written on it. The address led him to a large building in the center of town. It was tall and made of glass, shining in the morning sun. People in neat suits walked in and out, carrying briefcases. Malik felt small as he stood at the entrance, but he pushed his shoulders back and stepped inside. A woman at the front desk looked at him with surprise. "Can I help you?" she asked. Malik held out the card. "I'm here to see Mr. Thomas. He told me to come." She read the card and raised her eyebrows. "Follow me." She led him through wide halls and into a tall elevator. Malik's heart beat faster as the numbers climbed higher. Finally, the doors opened to a large office. The walls were covered in shelves of books and photographs of city projects. Behind a wide desk sat Mr. Thomas, dressed again in a fine suit. "Ah, Malik," he said warmly. "You came. Good." Malik nodded politely. "Good morning, sir." Mr. Thomas gestured to a chair. "Sit. I want to know more about you." Malik sat nervously. His hands rested on his knees. "Tell me, Malik," Mr. Thomas began, "how did you learn to fix things like bicycles?" Malik explained how he had always picked up broken objects from the street, how he spent hours in his shed repairing them. He spoke about the radios, the toys, the old bikes. His voice carried quiet pride. Mr. Thomas listened carefully, leaning forward. When Malik finished, the man nodded. "You have a gift. Do you realize that? Many boys your age waste time. But you use your hands, your mind, and your patience. That is rare." Malik lowered his eyes. "I just like fixing things, sir." "That is exactly why it is special," Mr. Thomas said firmly. "Now tell me about your school. What do you want to do when you grow up?" Malik hesitated. He had dreams, but they often felt too far to reach. "I want to be an engineer," he said softly. "I want to build machines, maybe cars, or even airplanes one day. But college is very expensive. My grandmother works hard, but we do not have much." Mr. Thomas leaned back, his eyes thoughtful. "I see. Money is a wall that stands in the way of many dreams. But sometimes the right people can help you climb over that wall." Malik looked up quickly. "What do you mean?" Mr. Thomas smiled. "I mean, I want to help you. You fixed my bike without asking for payment. That tells me you are honest. You also worked with skill and confidence. That tells me you are talented. I believe boys like you deserve a chance." Malik's heart pounded. "Help me how, sir?" Mr. Thomas opened a drawer and pulled out an envelope. He placed it on the desk between them. "This is not charity. This is an investment. Inside is a scholarship form. If you keep working hard in school, I will sponsor your education. You will not have to worry about college fees." Malik's eyes widened. He could not believe what he was hearing. For a moment, he sat frozen. Finally, he whispered, "Why would you do this for me?" Mr. Thomas looked at him kindly. "Because I see myself in you. When I was your age, I was also poor. Someone gave me a chance, and it changed my life. Now, it is my turn to give that chance to someone else. And I choose you, Malik." Malik felt a lump in his throat. His grandmother's words from last night returned to him, "Sometimes small actions open big doors." He had only fixed a bike, yet here he was, sitting in the office of a millionaire who was offering him a future. He reached out and touched the envelope carefully, as if it might disappear. "Thank you, sir," he said, his voice shaking. "I won't waste this chance." Mr. Thomas nodded. "I believe you. But remember, Malik, this is only the beginning. Your real test starts now." Malik left the building with the envelope in his hand, his steps lighter than ever before. The street outside looked the same, but for Malik, everything had changed. Malik held the envelope tightly all the way home. His feet moved quickly, as if he could not wait to show his grandmother what had happened. When he entered the small house, she was sitting by the window with her sewing basket. She looked up and smiled when she saw his excited face. "Something happened," she said gently. "I can see it in your eyes." Malik nodded and handed her the envelope. "Mr. Thomas gave me this. He said it is a scholarship form. He wants to sponsor my education." His grandmother carefully opened the envelope and read the papers inside. Her eyes filled with tears. She placed her hand on Malik's shoulder. "This is a blessing. You see, Malik, kindness always returns to you. You fixed a bike, but you earned a future." Malik felt warmth spread through his chest. He had never seen his grandmother so happy. That night, they talked about dreams and possibilities. For the first time, Malik allowed himself to imagine a path beyond his small town. The next day, Malik returned to school with a new energy. His teachers noticed. He sat straighter, answered questions with more confidence, and focused harder on his work. His friends were curious. "Why are you smiling so much?" one of them asked. Malik only said, "Because I believe good things are coming." He did not explain further. Something inside told him that not everyone would understand. After school, Malik went to the shed where he kept his tools. He still repaired broken toys and bikes, but now, while his hands worked, his mind imagined bigger machines. He pictured engines, bridges, and tall buildings. His dream of becoming an engineer no longer felt impossible. A week later, Malik was invited again to Mr. Thomas's office. This time, he felt less nervous. Mr. Thomas greeted him warmly. "Malik, I have spoken to the scholarship board. They are impressed by your story and your grades. But before anything is confirmed, you must prove yourself. I want to see how serious you are. Malik's eyebrows furrowed. How can I prove it, sir? Mr. Thomas stood and walked to a shelf. He picked up a small box and placed it on the desk. Inside is a broken clock. I want you to fix it. Not because I need the clock, but because I want to see how you handle pressure. Take your time, and do it here in front of me. Malik opened the box. The clock was old, its gears tangled and dusty. Many screws were missing. It was the hardest object he had ever been given to repair. For a moment, his hands shook. He thought of failing and losing his chance. Then he remembered his grandmother's words, "Stay humble and respectful. Small actions open big doors." He took a deep breath and began. He removed the gears, cleaned them with care, and searched for the right way to place them back. He used every bit of skill he had learned in his shed. Time passed slowly. Mr. Thomas watched silently, not offering help. Finally, after nearly an hour, Malik tightened the last screw. He held his breath and turned the small knob on the side. To his relief, the clock began to tick, the hands moving smoothly. Mr. Thomas leaned forward and smiled. "Excellent. You did not give up, even when it was difficult. That is exactly the kind of determination I wanted to see." Malik exhaled deeply, his shoulders relaxing. "Thank you, sir. I was worried I would fail." Mr. Thomas shook his head. "Failure only happens when you stop trying. Remember that, Malik. In life, challenges will be much harder than this clock. But if you keep your patience, you will overcome them." That evening, Malik told his grandmother about the test. She laughed softly and said, "Every test prepares you for the next. Do not fear them." Weeks turned into months, and Malik's life began to change slowly. Mr. Thomas invited him to visit workshops, factories, and even construction sites. Malik saw engineers working with machines, blueprints, and tools far more advanced than anything in his shed. He asked questions, listened carefully, and filled a notebook with drawings and ideas. Each time Malik returned home, he shared everything with his grandmother. She listened with pride, though sometimes her eyes looked tired. Malik promised himself that one day he would take care of her completely. At school, Malik's grades improved even more. Teachers praised him for his focus and curiosity. His classmates noticed the difference. Some respected him, while others whispered with jealousy. Malik did not let it bother him. He knew his path was clear. One afternoon, as he left the workshop of a local engineer who allowed him to watch, Mr. Thomas stopped him. "Malik, you have impressed many people already. But I want you to remember something important. Success is not only about knowledge. It is also about character. Always remain honest and kind, no matter how far you go." Malik nodded firmly. "I promise, sir. I will not forget where I came from." As he walked home under the setting sun, Malik thought about those words. He realized that fixing a bike had been the beginning, but his journey was only starting. The world felt bigger now, and his dreams felt closer. For the first time in his life, Malik believed that he truly had a chance to build the future he imagined. Malik woke up earlier than usual these days. He no longer dragged himself out of bed but jumped up with energy. Every morning felt like a new step towards something greater. His grandmother noticed the change and often said, "Your eyes shine with hope now, Malik. That is a gift." One morning, Malik received a call from Mr. Thomas's office. The secretary spoke politely. "Mr. Thomas would like you to join him this afternoon. He is visiting a company that designs machines. He thought you might learn something there." Malik's heart raced. After school, he wore his clean shirt and hurried to meet Mr. Thomas. Together they drove in a sleek car to a large building filled with noise and movement. Inside, workers were building engines, testing parts, and drawing plans on wide sheets of paper. "This is an engineering company," Mr. Thomas explained. "These people design machines used in factories, farms, and even hospitals. Watch them carefully. One day, you might stand among them." Malik's eyes moved from table to table. He saw men and women using tools he had never seen before. Some worked on computers, turning lines into designs. Others tightened bolts on heavy engines. The smell of oil and metal filled the air, and Malik felt excitement rise inside him. A kind engineer named Mr. Ravi noticed his curiosity. He smiled and said, "Would you like to see how this machine works?" Malik nodded eagerly. Mr. Ravi showed him an engine part and explained how fuel moved through it to create energy. Malik asked questions, and Mr. Ravi was impressed by his quick understanding. "You have a sharp mind," the engineer said. "Keep studying, and you could build machines like this in the future." Malik could hardly contain his joy. For the first time, he was not only fixing old things but also learning how new things were created. On the way back, Mr. Thomas spoke seriously. "You see, Malik, knowledge is everywhere. But you must seek it with hunger. Do not be afraid to ask questions. That is how you will grow." "I understand, sir," Malik replied. "I want to learn everything I can." The following weeks were filled with visits like this. Mr. Thomas introduced Malik to builders, architects, and technicians. Each person taught him something new. Malik's notebook filled with drawings of engines, notes about tools, and dreams of inventions he hoped to build one day. But along with excitement, challenges began to appear. At school, some classmates grew jealous. One boy whispered loudly, "Why does Malik get special treatment? Just because he fixed a bike? That doesn't make him better than us." Another added, "He acts different now, walking around like he's important." Malik heard the words, and though they stung, he remembered what Mr. Thomas had told him: success is also about character. He chose not to answer with anger. Instead, he stayed focused on his work. Still, the whispers spread, and sometimes Malik felt lonely. Only a few friends stood by him. His grandmother reminded him gently, "The road to dreams is not always smooth. Some will envy you, but do not let it shake your heart." One Friday, Mr. Thomas invited Malik to his home. It was the first time Malik saw how a millionaire lived. The house was large, with tall windows and shining floors. Paintings hung on the walls, and the air smelled of fresh flowers. At dinner, Mr. Thomas introduced Malik to his wife and daughter. They welcomed him kindly. During the meal, Mr. Thomas asked, "Tell my family about your dream, Malik." Malik spoke shyly but clearly. "I want to become an engineer. I want to design machines that help people. Maybe machines that make farming easier, or machines that build homes faster." Mrs. Thomas smiled warmly. "That is a wonderful dream. You have a good heart, Malik." After dinner, Mr. Thomas showed Malik a study filled with books. He pulled out a thick volume on engineering basics. "Take this," he said. "Study it whenever you can. Knowledge will be your strongest tool." Malik held the book as if it were treasure. "Thank you, sir. I will work hard." Days passed into weeks, and Malik balanced school, his small repairs at home, and his studies from the new book. Sometimes it was tiring, but he felt himself growing stronger. His teachers praised his efforts, and even those who once doubted him began to notice his determination. Then came an announcement at school. A science fair would be held, and students could present their projects. Malik felt his heart leap. This was his chance to show what he had been learning. At home, he told his grandmother, "I want to build something for the fair. Something useful." She encouraged him. Yes, Malik. Use your gift. Show them what you can do. For days, Malik worked in his shed after school. He used spare parts from old bikes and radios. He thought of the farmers he had seen working hard in the fields. Slowly, he began building a small water pump that could be powered by pedaling. It was not perfect, but it worked. When the wheel turned, water lifted through a pipe. Malik felt proud. This can help farmers water crops without expensive machines, he explained to his grandmother. The science fair day arrived. Students displayed shiny posters and models. Some had projects made with help from parents, while others bought ready-made kits. Malik stood with his simple but working pump. Some laughed at its rough look, but Malik stayed calm. When the judges came, Malik explained how his pump worked and how it could help poor farmers. He showed them the working model, and their eyes lit up. One judge said, "This is creative and practical. You solved a real problem with simple parts." At the end of the day, Malik's project won first prize. The announcement filled him with joy. His grandmother hugged him tightly that evening. "This is only the beginning, Malik," she whispered. "The world is starting to see what I have always known." Malik smiled. He finally believed her. Winning the first prize at the science fair changed many things for Malik. For the first time, his name was announced in front of the entire school, and everyone clapped. Some classmates who once doubted him now looked at him with respect. Teachers praised him, saying he had a bright future ahead. But along with recognition came new pressure. People expected more from him now. Whenever a teacher asked a hard question, all eyes turned to Malik. When the school announced another competition, some students whispered, "Malik will win again." At first, Malik felt proud, but soon he realized the weight of expectation was heavy. One evening, as he sat in his shed staring at unfinished parts, he sighed deeply. His grandmother, noticing his silence, asked, "What troubles you, Malik?" "I don't want to disappoint anyone," Malik admitted. "They all think I will always succeed. What if I fail next time?" His grandmother smiled gently. "Success is not about never failing. It is about standing again after failure. Do not fear what people think. Just give your best, and that will be enough." Her words gave Malik comfort. He returned to his work with calm determination. A week later, Mr. Thomas visited Malik's home for the first time. He walked through the small gate and greeted Malik's grandmother with respect. She welcomed him warmly, offering tea. Mr. Thomas looked around at the humble house, the tiny shed filled with tools, and the neat but simple surroundings. "You have raised a remarkable boy," he told her. "He has not only skill but also character. That comes from you." She nodded proudly. "I have taught him to be honest and work hard. The rest is in his hands." Mr. Thomas then turned to Malik. "I have news for you. A regional science exhibition will be held next month. Schools from across the city will send their best students. I want you to enter." Malik's heart raced. "Me? But the students there will have better equipment, maybe even guidance from professionals." "That may be true," Mr. Thomas said calmly, "but remember what makes you special. You find solutions using what you have. That creativity is more powerful than expensive tools." Malik thought about it and finally nodded. "I will try, sir." From that day, Malik spent every free moment preparing for the exhibition. He wanted to improve his water pump idea, making it stronger and easier to use. He searched for better parts, borrowing old scraps from neighbors. His shed became alive with the sound of metal clinking, wheels spinning, and gears clicking. Some nights, he stayed awake late, sketching new designs by the dim light of a lamp. His grandmother would remind him to rest, but he only smiled and said, "Just one more adjustment." Finally, the day of the exhibition arrived. The hall was large, filled with bright lights and colorful displays. Students stood beside polished models, robots, and electronic projects. Some had expensive stands with charts and diagrams. Malik carried his improved water pump, built from bicycle parts and a few strong pipes. When he set it on the table, some students nearby laughed softly. "That looks like junk," one said. Malik heard but did not answer. He set up his model carefully and waited. As the judges moved through the hall, Malik felt his hands grow sweaty. He reminded himself of his grandmother's words and took a deep breath. When the judges reached his table, he spoke clearly. "This is a water pump made from recycled parts. It can be powered by pedaling, so farmers who cannot afford electric pumps can still water their fields. It is simple, but it solves a real problem." He demonstrated. The judges watched as he pedaled, and water lifted smoothly through the pipe. They asked questions, and Malik explained every detail with confidence. One judge smiled. "This is practical and creative. Sometimes the simplest solution is the best." By the end of the exhibition, Malik's project did not just win a prize, it won the admiration of many. He was awarded second place overall, but more importantly, a group of engineers approached him afterward. "Malik, we like your idea," one engineer said. "Would you be willing to visit our workshop and share your design? With a little improvement, this pump could actually be produced for use in villages." Malik's eyes widened. "Yes, sir. I would be honored." That evening, Malik returned home with the certificate in his hand and excitement in his voice. He told his grandmother everything. She hugged him tightly and whispered, "Do you see, Malik? Your gift is not only for yourself. It is for others too." The next week, Malik visited the engineer's workshop. They listened to his explanation, asked questions, and even invited him to sketch ideas on a whiteboard. Malik felt nervous at first, standing in front of professionals, but their encouragement gave him courage. When Mr. Thomas arrived to see Malik working among the engineers, he smiled proudly. "This is just the beginning, Malik. You are walking through doors most boys your age never even see." Malik nodded, feeling both proud and humble. He knew challenges would continue, but he also knew he had strength inside him. Fixing a millionaire's bike had opened one door. Now, step by step, more doors were opening, leading him toward the future he dreamed of. That night, as Malik lay in bed, he thought not of the prizes or the praise but of the farmers who might one day use his pump. For the first time, he understood something important: his talent was not just to change his own life but to make life better for others. News of Malik's project spread quickly after the regional exhibition. The local newspaper printed a small article about the boy who built a water pump from bicycle parts. Neighbors who once saw him only as a quiet boy with old tools now looked at him differently. Some praised him, while others only watched with silent curiosity. At school, teachers encouraged him more than ever. "You have talent, Malik," his science teacher said. "Use this time well. Build your foundation strong. One day you will need it." But with recognition came new challenges. Malik soon realized that people expected him to always succeed. When he scored slightly lower on a test, whispers filled the classroom. "Maybe he isn't as smart as everyone thinks." When he could not answer a hard question quickly, a few students smirked. Malik felt the weight of these expectations. One evening, he sat in his shed, staring at the unfinished parts of a new design he had been working on. His grandmother entered quietly. "Why do you look so troubled?" she asked. "I feel like everyone is watching me," Malik admitted. "If I make one mistake, they will say I don't deserve this chance. What if I fail?" His grandmother sat beside him. "Malik, do you remember when you were younger and fixed your first broken radio? It did not work the first time. You failed, but you tried again until it worked. That is life. Failures are not your enemies. They are your teachers. Don't carry the world's expectations on your shoulders. Just carry your own honesty and effort. Her words gave him strength, but the pressure remained. 1 week later, Malik was invited to speak at a community hall. The local council wanted him to tell younger students about his journey. Malik had never spoken in front of a crowd before. His hands shook as he held the microphone, and his voice cracked at first. But then he remembered what his grandmother always said, "Speak with your heart." He told the children about fixing broken toys, about meeting Mr. Thomas, and about the science fair. "I am not different from you," he said. "I just kept trying when things were hard. If I can do it, so can you." The hall filled with applause. Malik felt his fear melt away. Later, a small boy came up to him and said, "I want to fix things like you." That simple sentence made Malik realize that his journey was beginning to inspire others. But life was not only filled with applause. One day, Mr. Thomas called him to the office. His face looked more serious than usual. "Malik," he said, "I need to warn you. Some people will not like your success. Already, there are students and even parents saying you are receiving too much attention. They believe it is unfair." Malik frowned. "But I never asked for attention. I only wanted to learn." "I know," Mr. Thomas said calmly. "But remember, jealousy follows success like a shadow. Do not let it darken your path. Keep moving forward." The very next week, Malik experienced this shadow. During a school break, 2 boys cornered him near the shed where he sometimes repaired bikes. "So you think you're special now," one sneered. "Winning prizes, meeting rich men, getting into newspapers." Malik stayed calm. "I don't think I'm special. I only work hard." The other boy pushed his shoulder lightly. "Let's see how hard you work without your tools." They kicked over his small box of screws and bolts, scattering them across the ground before walking away laughing. Malik knelt and quietly gathered the pieces. His hands shook, not from fear but from anger he held inside. For a moment, he wanted to shout, but then he remembered Mr. Thomas's words about character. He chose silence. Later that night, when he told his grandmother, she touched his hand gently. "You did the right thing," she said. "Strength is not in how loud you shout but in how steady you remain." To regain focus, Malik poured his energy into his new design. This time, he wanted to build a small device that used wind power to light a bulb. He worked for weeks, using old fan blades and a small motor from a broken toy. Many times it failed, but Malik refused to stop. One evening, as the wind blew through the shed window, the fan blades spun. The small bulb flickered and then glowed steadily. Malik's face lit up with joy. His grandmother clapped her hands. "You have brought light, Malik. Do you see? Even when the world tries to darken you, you bring light." Soon after, Mr. Thomas arranged for Malik to demonstrate this invention at another public event. This time, more people came: teachers, engineers, and even local officials. Malik stood calmly before them and explained how the simple wind-powered device could bring light to homes in villages where electricity was weak. The audience listened carefully. When he finished, they applauded warmly. One official shook his hand and said, "Young man, your ideas are needed. One day, you will not just fix things, you will build things that change lives." As Malik walked home that night, he looked up at the stars. For the first time, he realized that his dream was not only about becoming an engineer for himself. It was about creating something bigger, something that could help many people. And though the path was filled with pressure, jealousy, and challenges, Malik felt ready. He knew the weight of a dream was heavy, but he was willing to carry it. Malik's wind-powered light caught the attention of many people in the town, but the biggest surprise came a few weeks later. One morning, as Malik was leaving for school, a shiny black car stopped outside his small house. Out stepped Mr. Thomas, dressed in his usual suit, but this time he was not alone. With him was a tall man wearing glasses and holding a leather folder. "Malik," Mr. Thomas said with a smile, "this is Mr. Raymond. He is from the National Engineering Institute. He has heard about you and wants to meet you." Malik stood frozen. He could not believe that someone so important had come to his door. His grandmother quickly welcomed them inside, offering water and a seat. Mr. Raymond spoke warmly. "I have read about your projects. Your water pump and your wind-powered light show great creativity. The Institute wants to support young talents like you. We are offering you a scholarship for higher studies when you finish school." Malik's heart pounded. "A scholarship? You mean I can study engineering?" "Yes," Mr. Raymond nodded. "Not only that. If you continue working hard, we will connect you with mentors and provide resources. But remember, this is only the beginning. You must remain disciplined and focused." Tears welled in Malik's eyes. He turned to his grandmother, who was smiling proudly, her eyes shining with emotion. For years she had prayed for this moment. That night, Malik could not sleep. He stared at the ceiling, imagining the future. For the first time, the dream that once felt far away now seemed close enough to touch. He whispered softly, "Thank you, God. Thank you for this chance." But Malik knew the scholarship was not the end of his journey. It was only a doorway. He still had to prove himself worthy. So he doubled his efforts in school. While other students sometimes laughed, played, or wasted time, Malik spent his evenings with books and tools. He asked questions, built models, and studied late into the night. One afternoon, as he worked in the shed, Mr. Thomas visited him. "Malik, do you know why I believed in you that first day you fixed my bike?" Malik shook his head. "Because you worked with patience. Many people want quick success, but you cared for every small detail. That is what true builders do. Remember this when life becomes busy." Malik nodded, holding those words in his heart. Months passed. His projects grew more complex, and his reputation spread beyond the town. A small group of villagers even asked for his help in setting up a wind-powered light near the community well. With the help of a few friends, Malik installed it, and when the light first shone at night, the people cheered. Children danced around it, and elders placed their hands on Malik's shoulders with gratitude. "You are not only building machines," one elder said. "You are building hope." Those words touched Malik deeply. He realized that his work was no longer just about his own future. It was about bringing change to others. Finally, the day of the National Science Exhibition arrived. Malik was chosen to represent his region. It was the biggest stage he had ever seen, rows of tables filled with inventions, judges walking around with notebooks, cameras flashing, and curious visitors everywhere. Malik stood by his small wind-powered model, nervous but steady. When the judges approached, he explained how the device could help poor villages by providing affordable light. He spoke clearly and with passion, remembering his grandmother's advice to speak from the heart. At first, the judges only nodded, asking questions about cost, durability, and design. Malik answered carefully. But when he demonstrated how the fan blades turned in the breeze and the bulb lit up, one of the judges leaned closer with genuine interest. "This is simple, but it is practical," the judge said. "Sometimes, great inventions are not the most complex, but the most useful." By the end of the day, the results were announced. Malik's project won second place. Though it was not the top prize, the recognition was huge. His name was announced across the hall, and people applauded. For Malik, it was not about the rank. It was about being seen, about knowing that his ideas mattered. That evening, Mr. Thomas patted his back. "You see, Malik. A small boy with old tools, fixing a broken bike, has now stood among the best in the country. And this is only the beginning. Malik looked at the trophy in his hand, then at the faces of his grandmother and Mr. Thomas. Gratitude filled his heart. As they walked home, Malik thought of the journey, the broken radio he once repaired, the day he met Mr. Thomas, the fear of failing, the jealousy he faced, and the joy of seeing his inventions bring light. He understood now that life was not only about fixing broken things. It was about fixing broken hopes, broken dreams, and broken chances. And he had been given the chance to build something new. When he reached home, he placed the trophy on the table. His grandmother touched it and whispered, "This is only the first stone of a great house you will build." Malik smiled. He knew she was right. The path ahead would be long and full of challenges, but he no longer feared them. For the boy who once fixed a millionaire's broken bike was no longer just a boy. He was a builder of tomorrow, ready to change not only his life but the lives of many others. And as the wind turned the blades of his small invention outside, the light glowed steadily in the dark night, a symbol of his journey and the bright future yet to come.